Hi, Black Cat recapped here. Today I am going to explain a mystery and thriller movie named Blindness. It seems like a normal day in the city until something unexpected happens. A lot of cars get stuck in a traffic jam. A businessman suddenly stops his car in the middle of the road because he has suddenly become blind for no apparent reason. Some people come to help him, and a man volunteers to drive him home. But as soon as they reach the destination and the businessman gets out of the car, the thief who pretended to help drives away with the car. The businessman is left stranded outside, but the thief returns a few moments later pretending to be someone else, offering to help him get to his apartment and keeping him company for the afternoon. This time, the businessman is smarter and kicks the thief out once he is safely at home. A few hours later, the businessman's wife arrives, and upon learning about her husband's blindness, she takes him to a specialist right away. Since it's an emergency, they are allowed to go ahead of others in line. The doctor can't find any damage or illness in the businessman's eyes using various machines, so it seems to be a problem with his brain. After the couple leaves, the doctor attends to other patients, including a child, a woman wearing sunglasses, and a man with an eye patch. Meanwhile, the thief continues driving the stolen car around, trying to avoid the police. Eventually, he becomes blind too and has to seek help from the police. When they take him back to his old home, his ex-wife refuses to let him in. Later that evening, the woman wearing sunglasses goes to a hotel. After ordering a drink from the bartender, she goes upstairs to meet her client, but suddenly she starts panicking because she can't see anything. The doctor goes home and has a pleasant dinner with his wife, but the next morning, they wake up and realize that they can't see either. They call the hospital to inform them about a possible infection spreading. Suddenly, many people in the city start losing their sight without warning, and the government takes action to address the situation. The doctor's office is closed down, and he is taken away to a quarantine facility. They are taken to an abandoned mental hospital where there are no other doctors or staff. Soon, more people arrive, including the thief, the woman with sunglasses, the child, and the businessman. During their first outing, the thief makes an inappropriate move towards the woman with sunglasses, and she defends herself by kicking him, causing a serious injury. The doctor and his wife use a shirt as a makeshift bandage because there is no first aid kit available. Later, the doctor's wife is unable to sleep, worried about a potential infection from the thief's wound and fearing she might also wake up blind. The doctor tries to be intimate with her. The next morning, more people arrive, and the businessman is reunited with his wife, but the child is upset because his mother hasn't shown up yet. The doctor and his wife try to seek help from the guards for the thief's leg, but the guards refuse and threaten them with weapons, forcing them back to their room. Some time later, they receive their first meal, which is of poor quality and insufficient. The doctor's wife attempts to use the emergency phone to request more food and a first aid kit, but she only reaches an answering machine and leaves multiple messages. Weeks pass, and more infected people are brought to the asylum every day. The doctor's wife creates a makeshift clothesline to guide people between sections, and the doctor becomes the representative for their section. However, maintaining order becomes increasingly difficult. Since everyone is blind, they stop caring about cleanliness, and people begin wandering around without clothes and using the hallway as a restroom. The businessman tries to cheer up by reminiscing with his wife about their younger days, but his wife can't bear to think about happier times. One afternoon, the doctor's wife hears a sound and discovers that the man with the eye patch has been secretly listening to a radio. She convinces him to share the news with everyone since they are all desperate to know what is happening outside. In the first 24 hours, there were many cases, and the government's solution was to send the blind people to the asylum and ask everyone else to stay at home. People got tired of waiting at home and tried to go outside, but soldiers were enforcing the rules and arresting those who broke them. The city descended into chaos, with car accidents and even plane crashes occurring. Citizens became scared and decided to stay at home, turning the city into a ghost town. Days later, a large group of infected people is brought to the asylum, and the soldiers demonstrate their brutality by shooting a man who accidentally stepped out of line. Meanwhile, the doctor tries to communicate with the representatives of the other sections to coordinate burials, as 2 more people have been shot. He also wants to address the issue of one section hoarding more food than their fair share. Later, the doctor's wife checks on the thief, who has a fever due to a serious infection in his leg. Unable to bear the pain, the thief decides to end his suffering and drags himself outside to be shot by the soldiers. Sometime later, with the help of an accountant who has been blind since birth and knows how to navigate life without sight, the bartender discovers the asylum's administrative office. Using the PA system, the bartender declares himself the king of the entire asylum and announces the first new rule: people will have to pay for their food. This rule doesn't go over well, and chaos erupts near the food storage as everyone fights to get access. The bartender reveals his secret weapon. He managed to keep a handgun with him. With a warning shot, he forces everyone back and takes control of the food storage. The doctor's wife starts collecting valuables from the people in her ward, including jewelry like wedding rings and items found in their pockets. She discovers a pair of scissors in a woman's bag, which she keeps. At the food storage, the accountant uses his sense of touch to assess the quality of the items they receive. The bartender only distributes a couple of boxes per ward and threatens anyone who complains. People find themselves having to share single-person meals, and the doctor isolates himself, feeling like a failure. Sunglasses woman approaches him to comfort him, acknowledging that he can't do anything against the gun, and they end up engaging in sexual activity on the floor. The doctor's wife discovers them but chooses not to cause a scene. The bartender announces that they will accept services from women in exchange for food. The doctor's wife goes outside to demand answers about why new rations haven't arrived, and the soldiers explain that they have given them everything they have, so it's up to the asylum residents to ration it. After much consideration, one woman finally volunteers, inspiring others like the doctor's wife and sunglasses woman to do the same. The accountant comes to collect the women and takes them to the food storage room, where they experience the worst night of their lives. The men present are vicious and violent, and one of them goes so far as to kill one of the women through excessive force. Later that day, the accountant visits another ward in search of more volunteers, and he even has the audacity to come to Ward 1 to congratulate them on a job well done. After enduring all the teasing, the doctor's wife finally loses control and takes the scissors with her to the storage room. Everyone is distracted by the women from Ward 2, so she quickly kills the bartender with the scissors. She then takes the girls and leaves. The accountant realizes what happened and tries to shoot her with the gun, but none of his shots hit her. As she exits, the doctor's wife makes her own announcement: if they don't release the food, more men will die, and now she will be in charge of collecting it. The doctor is concerned that this will start a war, and he is right. Ward 3 barricades the area and refuses to release the food. Ward 1 prepares to fight and reclaim what belongs to them. One of the women decides to seek revenge. It turns out she had been hiding a lighter in her pocket all along, and she uses it to sneak into Ward 3 and start a fire. The fire spreads quickly, killing many men. Before panic takes over, the doctor's wife guides everyone out of the building. Surprisingly, nobody gets shot because the guards have left their posts. The doors are also unlocked, which means they are finally free. The doctor, his wife, the kid, eye patch man, sunglasses woman, the businessman, and his wife decide to stick together as they make their way downtown. They discover that society has collapsed, and the city has turned into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The few remaining people roam around, attacking each other if they suspect there might be food in someone's pockets. However, the doctor's wife can see and manages to find a set of stairs that lead her to a storage room, where she collects food. Meanwhile, the doctor gathers clothes. After filling a few bags, the wife tries to leave, but the people there hear the noise from her bags and attempt to rob her. Fortunately, the doctor hears the commotion and comes to her aid. Once they are at a safe distance, the wife takes a moment to compose herself while the doctor goes back to retrieve the dropped clothes. A cute dog approaches and befriends her. Suddenly, it starts raining, and the wife takes the dog inside a church to wait for her husband under a dry roof. Outside, people take the opportunity to collect water and wash their bodies since clean water has been scarce. The doctor returns with the clothes and picks up his wife, reuniting with the group and bringing the dog along, who becomes their new companion. They eat some rations inside the bar and decide to spend the night there to rest. The next morning, they venture out again, carefully navigating through the city to reach the doctor and his wife's house, where they offer to share it with everyone. From then on, the group establishes a routine. With the guidance of the wife's sight, they clean the apartment and share the doctor's clothes. They only go out when they need to find food and collect water whenever it rains. Weeks later, as they are getting ready for breakfast, the businessman suddenly starts yelling. In the same sudden way blindness had come to him, it is now gone, and he can see again. Everyone celebrates, realizing that their bodies can fight off the disease and blindness is only temporary. This gives them hope for the future.